Hey y'all, and welcome back. So I've really been on a reading streak lately and I wanted to review some of them. I actually started a whole TikTok dedicated to books and what I've been reading, and I've gotten like almost obsessive over reading. So I've mentioned before that I would much rather buy paperbacks, but I'm trying to save money and I feel like if it's on Kindle, I will normally read it instead of buying it unless I really think I'm gonna like it. I'll buy it. There's also a few books that I've read recently that I read on Kindle Unlimited, but I know that I will 100% read them again because I love them that much. And I am definitely the person that rereads books that I like. So some of these books I will be buying and purchasing on their own. Let's just get into it. So I have these books right here. So the first one is The Inheritance Games, and there's 3 of these, and I might end up reading the other 2. This is a young author novel, I'm 90% sure. And I didn't know that going into it. I was expecting a lot more like almost romance or whatever. There's a little bit of romance, but it wasn't anything like extremely romantic. It is a good read. It was a good book. I think the whole idea behind this one that made me want to buy it is I thought it was really interesting. It was like this girl inherited millions, maybe even billions from this man that she had never met. The only like catch, I guess, was she had to live in the mansion for a year with like all his grandsons, his kids, things like that. And it was just crazy because she swore she had never met him before, and it ended up being this like whole thing where she has to like unlock a whole bunch of passages and codes, and she's trying to figure out how she even knew this man and how he knew to like give her all this money. It was just really cool just like reading it and finding out all the little passageways or something. Like every time I thought I knew something, I like would find out very quickly that no, I did not know anything. I feel like there was a really good plot twist at the end of this. I'd probably give it 4 stars. I do think it was a good book. It wasn't my favorite book ever, and I think it's because it was missing the romance that I feel like it could have had. Maybe in the second and third books it will have romance. I know there was some, and there is like a love interest. It's definitely not a romantic book if you're looking for that. Icebreaker. Everyone has read this book. I feel like this is one of those I found on TikTok. It was one of the big, huge BookTok books, and I was so excited about this one. So freaking excited. I was like so ready. This is on Kindle Unlimited, but I had to order the book because I was like, I'm gonna like this so much that I'm gonna read it 1,000 times. I was so wrong. It was a good book, but I feel like it could have been cut to here, like halfway. I feel like it was such a long book for no reason. To me, it was so long. If you're looking for smut though, oh my god, this was one of the spiciest books I've read in a while. It's not really an enemies to lovers, and I feel like a lot of people say it's enemies to lovers, but like I feel like she doesn't like him, but he likes her most of the time. I wouldn't consider it enemies though. They're not friends, but they're not really enemies, I guess. So she's a figure skater and he's a hockey player, and I am obsessed with the hockey player trip for some reason. I live in Louisiana and I'm obsessed with hockey. I don't know. Anyway, so there was some kind of prank and they essentially have to share the rink, and she's pissed because she's trying to train for the Olympics and he doesn't take things seriously. His team doesn't take things seriously, or she doesn't think they do, and she's a very serious person and he's kind of like the fun sunshine person. I related to her so much more in this book than him. Anyway, I think I gave this one 3.5 stars, maybe even 4 stars. It really was a good book. It's a good read. I just feel like if it was a lot shorter, I would have liked it a lot more. Definitely a smutty book. I feel like it focused a lot more on like the smut than it did the storyline making more sense. Not a bad book. It wasn't one of the worst books I've ever read. It was pretty good. I think I was just hyped up so much on this book that I was expecting so much more than what I got. The Summer of Broken Rules. I'm obsessed with this cover for one. When I want like a really good romance read, this is perfection. This is beautiful. This is what I would have as like my screensaver, like when I was in high school or whatever. I really do like this cover, and I'm obsessed with books that have like really pretty covers. I was determined I was going to love this book. I think I gave this one 3 stars. And I'm judging this one really hard, okay? I'm judging it really hard. It has a very good story. It's a very cute read. They're both very happy people, and I think maybe I just identify more with the cranky people, and my favorite trope is like the enemies to lovers, and this is definitely not that. They're not necessarily friends, but they're friends of friends, and they get together. There's not really any kind of drama, and I think that's kind of what's missing from this book. There's not any kind of true plot. The whole plot of the book is one of her family members and one of his friends is getting married. They're all at this place for the wedding. So for a week, I think it is, leading up to the wedding, they play a game called Assassin. They all each have to take each other down and then one person wins. They play this every year, but it's his first time being there because he's the friend of the guy marrying her cousin. They ended up teaming up to beat everyone, and I don't want to ruin it. There is a plot twist that I was not expecting, which I really liked. It's a really cute read. Obviously, I have a ton of tabs on here because it has like really cute little like romance. It's very happy. If you're looking for a happy book, nothing too serious, nothing to like get your heart racing, this is the book. I feel like this is another one I feel like could have been a lot shorter because it is almost 400 pages. I can't give this one too bad a review because it really was good. It was just, I feel like, really hyped up. But obviously, I got some really good quotes and really good like romance out of this. I probably would read this one again. It's very much a summer read. I would only read this one during the summer, I feel. Okay, this is the one that everybody and their mom recommended to me to read. And I powered through. Oh my god. Like, my poor husband had to hear me griping about reading this book because the whole time I'm reading it, I kept putting it down. I was just like, people like this guy. When you're reading this book, he does things, and I think that's one of the great things about this book. It has a really good meaning behind it, and I think that's something that people kind of resonate with. Like, I personally really like this because I feel like people don't see that side of like abusive relationships. They don't understand why people keep going back and why people can't see what they're going through. However, like, some of the things he does, I'm like, why are you still there, girl? Like, oh my gosh. As you can see, well, I tabbed right here at the first part because I was like, oh, that's so cute. That's so sweet. I got 17 pages in and I quit tabbing because I was just like, this is not romantic at all. It's not a romance. This should not be marketed as a romance. It is not romantic. I don't even know what I would rate the spiciness of this book. I mean, they have sex a couple times, but I would hurry up and skip through them because I was like, this isn't even interesting. Obviously, the love interest that is at the end of this book is really good. And into the next one, I probably won't read the second book, but the second book is about her and the actual, like, the second love interest that is a lot better man, I'm pretty sure. However, at the end of this book, I'm not gonna give away a spoiler, but at the end of this book, I was really, really happy with how it ended. And I really like the whole meaning behind the book, how it came together, and like one of the last things said is the title in the book, and it makes so much more sense. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting this to be like it ends with us, like their relationship ending, and it is, but it's also more meaningful than that. And since I have a daughter, it like resonated with me so well because I was like, yes, like do it for her, do it, like, you know, I was rooting for it. But I am glad I read this book. I am glad because now I'm in the know. They're making a book or a movie about it, or they were making a movie about it, and now that I've seen, oh my gosh, now that I have seen the freaking characters and the way they're dressing her, I don't think we read the same book because it is not the same. Not even close. Like, a step aside from the abuse and stuff, I think the thing that got me the most is I never liked him from the beginning. Like, my first impression was this guy is an ass. Like, but her first love that she kept talking about, I fell head over heels for him. Head over heels, like, oh my god. So maybe I will read the second one because I really did love him. Funny You Should Ask is one that I don't really see all over Book Talk. I kind of stumbled upon this one. I really like the celebrity trope. I like reading about those. And I really thought I was going to like this one. But I did DNF it. This is where I got. And I didn't DNF it for a singular reason. It was just more of like, I wasn't interested. It never really picked up pace for me. I got 135 pages in, and I normally will give a book about 100 pages. If it doesn't grasp me by then, I'm kind of uninterested, and I just can't really keep reading it because I'm just like, it's just boring. And that's how this one was. It was just really boring for me. Essentially, without giving things away, I didn't really get too far into it so I can't really summarize it too well. It was this woman who became a reporter or became a journalist or was trying to become a journalist. And there was this movie star guy. Basically, she spends a weekend with him trying to get things for an interview. And this is all about one weekend, essentially. And basically, the tabloids go crazy. Her name's all over the place. All these things. He did something and they just quit talking. And they didn't talk for, I don't even know, 10 years. Yeah, 10 years later, she gets a divorce with the husband that she was with. She goes back and does an interview with him again. 10 years later. And basically the reason that it's so hard for me to read this book is because it jumps back from then and now. So every other chapter is like 10 years ago and then 10 years later, and then it was so hard to follow. Like, I wish they would have just told the 10 years ago one and then dropped to now and then started telling it, I feel like it would have been a lot easier of a read. It's just way too hard for me to keep up. I did find him really charismatic. I liked him, but I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't. I really wanted to like this one, but I think I ended up giving this one like 1 star. I DNF'd it, so I just couldn't. I just couldn't. I don't know. Maybe I can pick it up another day. It was just a really slow read. That's all of the paperbacks. I'm going to talk about some of the Kindle Unlimited ones. I'm going to try to hurry this up because this is a very long video already. I finished this one yesterday, and this one, I don't know, like I think I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. It had a really good storyline. It was very interesting. It had good points to it, but I felt like the main character was a little too quirky almost. She was funny, and I liked that she was like very headstrong. The book almost read like it was a comedy almost. Anyway, so it's 2 rival mafia leaders' kids that are not, I guess they're not kids, they're in their 20s, but they are forced to get married and they hate each other. So it's enemies to lovers, which I like, but it didn't have the violence that I was expecting until the end. When I read about like a mafia romance, I want like the violence, you know, almost like dark, but it wasn't read like that. And I didn't expect like don't judge a book by its cover. Definitely don't judge this book by its cover, because to me this cover and this name should not be what it is. Like it should be a totally different name for this book because it didn't really fit the book. However, there are some steamy pages, very steamy. I wouldn't put it as a very spicy book. I think there's like three scenes in it that are kind of steamy. But overall, it was a good book. There was a plot twist at the end that I wasn't expecting, so I really liked that part. And I really liked how it was kind of a slow read. Like you always felt the like tension between them until they got together, even when they got married. And I think my favorite part, and it's kind of weird, it's like the first like steamy thing they have, but like they get back from like this event and he goes to take a shower and she's like showing him that she's like, what's the word, like headstrong and like doesn't care what he thinks. So she gets in the shower with him, and I really liked her character. I think I would give this one 3.5 stars because it really did have like a good storyline. It just wasn't what I was expecting, I guess. Okay, last one I'm going to talk about because I don't really want to talk about this too long, but this entire series is just perfection. Chef's kiss perfection. Like I would buy this series, and I'm going to buy it to put it on my bookshelves because I will read this series like 12 more times, especially the last one. I started the first book and it took me a while to get through it because I feel like the main character, Zara, I just feel like she was really quirky. So it took me a while to get through the first one. Although I did like the first one. I gave it, I think, 4 stars. I really did like it. I like the storyline. I don't remember it being all that spicy, but I do remember there was some in there. I feel like I related more with the third book and the character in the third book, and I don't know if it's because she has a daughter or if she was just like kind of more serious or whatever. I really liked the third one, and oh my god, there was so much tension because he had his own things to deal with and she had her own things to deal with, and it wasn't just like a love story. It was a very much like he was battling addiction. There was so much going into it that it made their romance just so much better. And it was very much, I guess, an enemies to lovers. I guess you considered that because like they were exes that ended up broken up and then having to live together. It was just perfect. It was the perfect book. The second one was interesting. I really loved Iris. I loved her. I loved her personality. I did not like Declan. I didn't like him too much. I was like, she deserves better than him. She fell for him, and I love her. I love the girls in these books, like together as a trio. They are perfect. But this is definitely one of my favorite series that I have read ever. Like, it is such a good romance. Alright, so I gotta hurry this up because my daughter's waking up. But I will definitely do more of these because this was so much fun. I have been talking for way too long. I'm posting all the time on TikTok. Every time I read a book, I do like a review and I talk about like the aesthetic of it, and because that's what gets me to read books. Yeah, I'm always active on there. And yeah, that's where I'm going to end this today, and I will see you guys next time.